Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Adrielle, and in this video I will be doing my third rant or rave book review. And the book that I will be doing today is actually a really popular book. It just came out recently, and that is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. I'll have it right here, floating in that general vicinity, because I listened to the audiobook. I did not physically read it. I read it through listening, which is still reading, but you know, that's another conversation. I want to say before I start how sad it is to be finishing with this series and to know that I'll never read another Brown sister book for the first time ever again, for as long as I shall live. That's a little depressing, honestly, but you know, all good things must eventually come to an end. It was a wild ride, you guys. It was a wild ride. Anyway, so I'm just gonna get into it without further ado. If you've never watched one of these videos before, there are 4 elements. I'm not reading it off a sheet of paper because I forget every time. No. There are 4 elements that I like to pay attention to in these reviews, and they are the characters, the plot, the setting, and the pacing. And I will rate each of those things, and then at the end, I'll bring all the scores together to get a nice overall score so I can have an overall rating. So, you know, then I can go rate it on Goodreads. And yeah, let's just get started, shall we? Up first is the characters, or are the characters. We're gonna do characters first. But I'm really conflicted about the characters in this book because, like, normally in the Brown Sisters books, I am obsessed with the characters. Like, I mean, and if you know me, you know I'm a character driven reader. Like, if I love the characters, I love the whole book. Like, I just like that's all it takes for me to really love a book, is to just have really good characters. They don't even have to be like inherently lovable. They just need to be really interesting, if you know what I mean. And I feel like these characters weren't that for me. They were interesting. Like, I really like, I like Eve. I like Eve because I feel like I relate to her in that she is young. My tortoise just woke up. He just woke up. What are you doing, buddy? It's way past his bedtime. I feel like I could relate to her in terms of the fact that she is young and still trying to figure everything out. Like, the other Brown sisters had more established careers in those books. Like, Danny and Chloe had more established careers, and their problem wasn't their career. With Eve, like, one of her big personal problems in the story is like what she's gonna do with her life, and she feels really ambivalent, and she's going back and forth and doesn't really know what she's doing, and she's kind of disappointed her parents because they feel like she's been too irresponsible with her job, and they want her to figure out what she's gonna do, because, you know, as parents, they want to see that their daughter's gonna be okay. And so far, in their minds, she hasn't demonstrated that she's gonna be okay, if that makes any sense. And not that I feel like I'm just a huge disappointment or anything, but I can understand the feeling of not knowing exactly what you're doing because you're still really young and you're still trying to figure everything out. So I really relate to Eve in that way, and so that endeared me to her, right? Is that how you say it? That made me like her more than I probably would have had that element of the story not been there, because I could really relate to her in that way, if you know what I'm saying. Jacob, on the other hand, normally the male leads in a Talia Hibbert book are just, I just swoon over the male leads. Let's keep it real here. Well, you guys, Jacob didn't do it for me. And it's not that I did not like him. It was just, I didn't find him as interesting as I found the other male leads. Of course, this is still a really good book. It's hard for it to compete with the other 2 because those first 2 were so good. Like, especially the second one. The second one is my favorite one out of the entire series. Like, it's just, take a hint, Danny Brown is my favorite romance I think that I've ever read. So that's a big statement. I'm putting that out there. But it preceded this one, and this one, I was kind of wanting to feel that again, and so I think I'm like grading it a little harder than I would otherwise, because I just came off the best romance book that I've ever read, you know? So Jacob didn't do it for me, so he's gonna be the one to pull the score down just a little bit to a 3 instead of like a 4 or a 5. Also, I'm gonna say here, 3 is not bad. 3 is just like middle of the road, like this is fine, you know? 4 is like, oh, I loved it. And 5 is like, I need this in my life. And below a 3 in my eyes is bad. But 3 just going forward is not bad. All right, so next I'm gonna move on to the plot, which I kind of have explained some of what the plot's about, but it's about a young woman named Eve Brown who feels ambivalent about life. And she's been through a lot of different jobs, and she's started a lot of different projects, and she's never really seen anything through to the end. She's kind of quit, and she's been very flighty, and her parents really want her to settle down and figure out what she's gonna do. Like, they're concerned about her. Her sisters are concerned about her, and she's tired of feeling like the weak link in the family because everyone else has their stuff together, if you know what I mean, or so it seems outwardly. And it can feel when you're struggling like everybody has their stuff together, but no, this family, like, if you like, they're an impressive bunch, and Eve doesn't feel like she matches up, which I disagree with. I think Eve is a wonderful woman, and she's too hard on herself, but that's how she feels. And then she's this, like, Eve is this eclectic and flighty woman, and then she meets Jacob, and he works for he has his own, like, Airbnb, and, like, he's very structured, and he's not the most friendly person, and he's, like, outwardly very stoic and that kind of thing. Honestly, I kind of relate to him too in that way, because like outwardly I'm like, but that's not my real personality. Like, that's just me being shy and covering up my actual personality with stoicism in the hopes of not trying to not annoy people, like smooshing myself down. This is not counseling. I don't know why I'm saying all that. But anyway, so Jacob's just kind of, he's a good guy at his core, but outwardly he comes off as kind of rude, which, you know, I'm not judging him for that. Some of us just seem rude outwardly, even though we're not. And he's not a bad guy. That's just how he is. And that's not why he wasn't my favorite or anything. Like, you have to get to know somebody before you pass a whole lot of judgment on them. So I don't like to just say, oh, he seems rude. It's like, well, nah, you've read, you know, like, whatever. But so they meet, and her flightiness and spontaneity, I guess, and his everything needs to be a certain way come together in a very comical and romantic way. That's basically what the book is about. The plot is really good, I will say. The plot, it's fun. It's not overly like original, but I don't think that mattered that much to me as a reader. It might matter to somebody, but I don't think that mattered that much to me as a reader. It was fun. It was a fun plot. It wasn't like to die for, but it gets a 4 from me. I really enjoyed that. All right, let's move on to the setting, shall we? The setting, as I've said, is mainly in the B&B, which I thought was just a really cozy little setting. It just made me happy. I was struggling to see what I was gonna even say for this part of the video, because I was like, I just liked the setting. Like, what else can I say? You know, when you're just reading a book and you fall into the setting and you're like, oh, they're in the B&B, and you just get comfortable. That's where they are, and the way it's set up. I hope this isn't a spoiler. Like, in order for her to work there, she has to spend, let's just say, a lot of time there. So that's usually where most of the book ends up taking place, and you just fall into it, and it just feels like a nice little cozy, happy little romantic cabin somewhere. It just made me happy. So I'm giving it a 4.5 because it gave me the feels. Let's move on to pacing. Pacing is, if you've seen my other rant or rave videos, where I feel like a lot of stories can fall short. I'm big on evenly paced stories. I don't like when stories feel kind of jerky, if that makes sense. I don't like when they feel like they have like a whole bunch of mini climaxes in one story. I like when it works toward one, if you know what I mean. And I don't feel like this had the like bunch of little climaxes in there. I feel like it was I do feel like it was kind of jerky though, which a lot of people might disagree with me. First of all, you can disagree with me if you want to. That's totally fine. If you love this book and think it's 5 out of 5 and it's perfect in every capacity, that's fine by you. But I don't have to think that. I think that the plot kind of jerked a little bit. Kind of went like, and I say that because there are times when I was like, I don't care about what's happening right now. And in a Talia Hibbert book, that's never happened before. Like I was reading it and I was like, this is dragging a little bit here, and then it would pick back up and then something else would happen and it would kind of like meander. There were sections of the plot that I thought just kind of like meandered, and there was some plot, there was I think one plot point that I feel like didn't resolve well enough for me, and it wasn't like a big plot point, but I still wanted to see it have some type of resolution. And if you've watched these videos before, then you know that I don't like that either. So that one, I didn't feel like it warranted dropping below a 3. So I gave it a 3 because I still really like this book. And I was like, I'm not giving you a 2.5 or a 2 for that. I can't do it, okay? So I could have given it like a 2.5 because I mean, I really hate plots that like meander, but it didn't meander. I'll say this. I feel like it meandered in the beginning more than it did toward the end. Toward the end, it kind of figured out what it was and it started to like steam along. In the beginning, it was kind of like doing that, if that makes any sense, which I don't know, I can't really get down with that kind of story structure. Of course, story structure is really hard and it's difficult to pull off, and yeah, yeah, so it's a 3 for me. So that brings us to an overall score of 3.6, which I think is the highest score that I've ever given a book on one of these. When I tell you guys I like this book, I really did. I mean, I really did. I was hoping it would be a 5. In fact, the other Talia Hibbert books were a 5, so you can see the drop that it took in my mind, but that's still a really good score. That's close. That's almost a 4. Like I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So it's not me saying that because I know this is like a beloved series, and a lot of people might not like hearing that, but I did like it. I really liked it. And I want to read it again one day because I want to binge all of them again when I get sad that it's over again. And I'll probably just start from Chloe and I'll go all the way through to Eve all over again. No problem. No problem with that. I'm down for the cause. So yeah, 3.6. Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. I enjoyed it. I totally recommend it. And if you haven't read it, you should probably read it because it's just that spicy romance. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.